Okay, let's take a look at practice problem number 1 from the Chapter 9 lecture here. What we first want to do is we want to take a look at the facts in the problem here. So first of all, this employee earns $26 per hour. He makes time and a half for any hours over 40. He works 50 during the week, and his gross pay during the current week was this amount. We don't need that till later. It says first let's find his gross pay for the week. So let's do that, right? He works 40 hours at $26 per hour. So we know we're going to need that. So this is dollars per hour, and this is hours. So it's going to give him, I think, 26 times 40 is 1,040. So that is one way of doing this. My writing's not very good here, but that's okay. Then he works another 10 hours at $26 per hour times time and a half. So this is really his hourly wage for that part of the session. So if I do 10 times 26 times 1.5, then I believe I get $390 for his time and a half hours. If I add those two up, 1,040 and 390, okay, I get a total of 1,430. So there's his gross pay for the week. I don't think that was too hard. I hope a few people had issues with that, but anyway, that's his gross pay. I hope that makes sense. And I hope you can read my sloppy writing here. Okay, any questions about that? I hope not. Moving on. Okay, it says find his net pay for the week. So now we got to do his deductions. Okay, so the first thing we look at is notice that Social Security tax rate is 6.0% on earnings up to 80,000. So the way we have to read this is that if he goes up to and exceeds $80,000, even by $1, we have to factor that in. But if you look at the math here, 62,140, you might not even have to use a calculator here. You can see that 62,140 plus 1,430, he's not going to get really anywhere close to the $80,000 cap. So if I add these two up, I get 63,570. And so he's nowhere near 80,000, right? Not even close. So I don't need to worry about the cap. I can forget about this. What it means is that I don't have to do any fancy math. I just take a straight 6%. When I said don't worry about it, that doesn't mean there's no tax. It just means there's no cap, meaning every dollar he earns on this paycheck is subject to the 6%. So please don't misinterpret what I said. So I go 1,430 times 0.06. There's my 6%. 1,430 times 0.06, and I believe I'm going to get $85.80. That's what comes out of his check for the Social Security tax. Okay, Medicare tax is another one. Notice we don't even mention a cap up here, so that's 1.5%. So if I simply take 1,430 times 1.5%, be careful, don't forget to move the decimal, right? That's 1.5% expressed as a decimal. I believe I'm going to get 2105 if I do the math. Okay, so there I've captured those two. The third part of this problem, I believe, is they say, oh, and by the way, federal income tax to be withheld is 333. Now notice, this is an easy problem in the sense that you're given the federal tax rate. Normally, you'd have to go and get that from a table. You'd have to have his exemptions. You'd have to know how many dollars he made and then go pull it out of a table. And you have to figure out whether or not it is for a week or for 2 weeks. So right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, figure out his net pay. So I've got this deduction, I've got this deduction, and I've got 333. So all I have to do really is subtract those from 1,430. If I go 1,430 minus 333, again, I hope you can read my writing, minus the 8580 that we figured out for the Social Security tax and then the Medicare tax here. And my writing's not good, I'm sorry folks, but anyway, when I do all this, if I subtract 1,430, good Lord, let's fix that. Okay. $1,430 minus 333 minus 8580 minus 2105. If I do the math, I get $990 and 15 cents. Okay, there's my final answer. That is the net pay for this person during this work period. So there's one answer, net pay. Your other answer up here was gross pay, and I hope the gross pay was pretty simple. But anyway, the net pay with all the deductions, that's how you figure those out. Okay, I hope that works. Hope that helps people. And there you go.